Hello everybody, it's Dave from Arachnid. We're going to do a Tterinochilus video. Work a little bit with some feeding. Hopefully be able to get to see each type that I own. Probably not the Palala. She very rarely comes out. But hopefully you'll be able to see the chordatus female. I'm not sure about the Mozambique female. She's very rare to come out too. As you can see, we're getting feedings here. This one just molted. This one's a male that you're looking at right there. About 2 inches, 2¼ inches, maybe a little bit bigger. Here is an unsexed one that probably, focus, will molt soon. You can see the back end is getting a little bit large. This one here just ate. And this one here, I just pulled a molt out of. I would say the molt's probably been in there for a week or so. Just decided to grab it because we're going to do the feeding. I just wanted to show you guys basically their enclosures, and what they do with them. Every single one of these spiders has either some type of fake plant, some type of fake foliage. Yeah, that one finally decided to grab the mealworm. Or like a small rock or some wood branches, or you could see like there's a rock right inside there with a hole inside of it to incorporate their webbing. They have not burrowed. And the Mykumis did not dig. I have not had them dig. They just kind of hide underneath stuff, and then they utilize webbing all the way around it. Even with larger enclosures with much more substrate in them when they were smaller, they did not dig. They just webbed and hid underneath whatever man-made structure I put in there. And that's pretty much, general for most of the Tterinochilus species. If you put stuff underneath there that they can go under, they will go underneath there and they will hide. They may burrow a little bit, but then they'll web around, the whole entire enclosure. You can see this one's webbed a little bit differently, real tight, almost like a wigwam. That's what it reminds me of. Very tight webbing with just a little bit of wispy right there on the side. This one you can see is all wispy all the way around with multiple entrances there. It's an entrance there. I think we had it over here earlier. You can see this one's got an entrance there. This one here, I don't even know where this one goes, to be honest with you. This one generally stays probably around the outside. I don't see any real designation for it to get underneath anything. So these are the Mykumis. These are 4 of the 5 that I have. The other one's an adult female. I don't know if she'll come out or not, but we'll find out later. Okay, next up are 2 of the, I believe 4. I have 4 Kigoma. I have one smaller one. These 2, and then an adult female. You can see the difference in the webbing. It's considerably less, more spread out, more sparse, not as thick. You can see that one's coming out right there. These Kigoma seem to eat a little bit better than the Mykumi, which is, you think, oh, they're baboons, they're crazy eaters. But, raising these guys since they were half-inch slings, I've learned a lot about them. They're all basically 2 inches or more now. I got a whole bunch of them in all at the same time. Kigoma, Mozambiques. My Mozambiques are smaller. Those came in later. My Kenyas, these Kigomas, the Mykumis, they're all roughly about the same size. And then I have bigger ones as well. So I have a female Kigoma, Tete, Mozambique, Mykumi. And the one Botswana, Zimbabwe, is also a female. You'll see that one here in a little bit. But yeah, so basically pretty much the same setup. This one I just did with dried leaves on the top. I think there's a little piece of wood in there, just something small. And it just kind of webbed itself up, hid underneath the leaves, and just kept webbing and webbing and webbing. And there it is right there. Now it's coming out from the other side. So it kind of was there, and then it snuck all the way over here to do this. This one I haven't seen in a while, so I'm sure it's in pre-molt, or it has molted in there. Yeah, there's no movement in this enclosure at all. Yeah, this one's coming. But again, another beautiful dark form. Gorgeous, sleek spiders. Not had any problems with these guys trying to leave their enclosures. I gave them what they needed. They built what they felt secure in, and I have no problem leaving the lids off with these guys when I'm feeding. Like, they're gonna jet on me. I haven't had one jet yet. So okay, those are the Kigomas. Okay, these two are the Kenyas. I thought I had three. I'm pretty sure I do. One of these two, Kenya number 2. Yeah, see, Kenya number 2 is somewhere. I'm missing Kenya number 2. That's a male. So there should be 3 of them here. And you can see again the difference in the webbing. And you know, these are even more sparse webbing. Not as much as the Kigomas that you saw last, and way less than the Mikumis that you saw first. You know, very stringy, very sporadic. These guys are living underneath. This one's underneath those leaves that you see right here. It's got a cave right there, and that's where it's at. This one here is probably inside of the skull. As you can see, there's no place else. And you can see they have not dug. There's a big, huge misconception that P. murinus are diggers. They're obligate burrowers, or opportunistic burrowers, which means that they will dig underneath something just to make it comfortable for them. So underneath a piece of wood, or a rock, or like a man-made structure that's out, you know, out there in the plains somewhere. Whatever they can utilize, they'll hide underneath of. But these two may not come out. I believe both these are probably, you know, they would come out by now to eat. Kenyas are very good eaters, but they're the most reclusive of the ones that I have. You know, all the different species. So, you know, that's another thing about them, is that I see the Kenyas less than I see any of the other ones. Okay, so these two, here's the other Kenya. This is the Kenya number 2, which is a male. All 3 of those Kenya came at the same time, so they're all from the same egg sac. On the left is my Zimbabwe Botswana. This is my favorite one. I have 3 of them, 2 tiny little slings, and this one. This one is a small juvenile female, right around 2 2/4 inches. And this male here, the Kenya, is about 2.5. And these are in 5 by 5 by 5. I think these are 5 by 5 by 5 softball enclosures. They're perfect for these spiders up to about 3 inches, maybe even a little bigger. And then I generally move them out of whatever, and that'll give me a determination on, you know, what enclosure. The females will go into something bigger, and the males will obviously stay in something smaller. I've not kept any males that have matured in these yet. I think I bumped them up to like a 1/24 scale die cast, and just let them web. You know, it's easier to keep males in something smaller. This way they don't wear themselves out. At least that's my practice. I was hoping you guys would see these ones. But again, here you go, the Kenya again, little less webbing. Mostly like a ski slope is what this male made here. And then it's got openings there, I believe there. That's probably where it's at in this corner. I'm surprised he's not coming out, because he just molted a little over a week ago. This is the first time I fed this little guy here, so I'm surprised. And this female here molted about 3 weeks ago. This is her second, I believe, second time I'm feeding her. But you can see the Zimbabwe, there's much more dirt in there. And I put these leaves, and it did go down here in the corner because I made a pre-made burrow for it. It did utilize that. I don't think it's dug anything more than that, but I believe it lives underneath the leaves. And this would be normal of what you would see them living in nature. Either one of these two are coming out either. All right, so we're going to go on to the Lugardi, because it's in the same type of enclosure, and then we'll go to the smaller ones. Okay, this is the Lugardi. Again, there's the skull. Basically, that's just decoration because the spider doesn't use it at all. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but the spider is right there. Likes living right in that little aisle. He's kind of made a tunnel, not with webbing, that goes from here and then over, and then it'll come out in that area. This one's been a pretty decent eater. My last Lugardi female that I had, that she got stuck in a mold, probably about 3 inches, right around the 3-inch size. I was kind of sucked because I really like that spider. But these guys seem to eat a little bit better, and they're known to make trapdoors also, but you know, with their webbing. And then they'll put dirt or whatever incorporated into some type of door. That one had the beginnings of a trapdoor. This one does not. I'm surprised this one's not coming out either. Although usually when I do this, I feed and then I turn around after I put the spider someplace else and they've come out and grabbed the worm and the worm's gone, and but they're back in their little hide area again. It doesn't look that way on any of the last ones that we looked at anyway. So here's oh, there it is. Beautiful. I guess you got to see the little one a little bit. So it came out someplace I didn't expect it to. Usually it comes out over there. That's why I was focusing more in that area. But so yeah, very, very limited dirt. You could see the water dishes in some of these enclosures. I put them in there. They web them up and fill them with dirt, and then I leave them. I just spray their webbing when I want to give them water. And generally, you know, their prey is where they get most of their moisture from. So I kind of just leave it at that. So let's move to the smaller slings. Okay, so these are two of the smaller ones that I have. The last two that came in. These are the Zimbabwe, Botswana locale. They're just in, I think these are 20 dram vials. I can't remember. Maybe 10 dram vials, whatever the size is. They're a little taller. You know, one's halfway full of dirt, the other one's 3/4 of the way. And they just kind of webbed up. This one actually webbed up a nice little tornado tunnel, and this one's actually, you can see the spider right there. I don't think that they will eat. I will try giving them a small mealworm here and see if this one might take it. These two have been pretty good eaters. I definitely don't want to leave it in there if it doesn't grab it, so because it will burrow itself down inside the dirt. And then, although I think I'm going to move these two to a different enclosure anyway. Let's see if it'll actually grab it. Doesn't seem it, does it? Oh, we're getting a little movement in there. There we go. We'll bring the big worm inside there and eat it in there. That'll be a good meal for this one, and hopefully that'll push it to a molt. This one did molt already, so we're not going to feed this one yet. Okay, so these are the three in baseball cubes. The left one is a Kigoma. The middle one is a Tete. And the right one is your normal everyday UMB. Well, it's a Usambar Mountain variant. I'm not sure if there's really much difference between that and what they call the red color form. They're both the orange ones that you see. But I kept them labeled separately, the UMBs versus the regular. I believe I only have one regular one, believe it or not. I probably should pick up like a 5-pack of regular OBTs. At this size, this smaller size, you don't really see them very often. I very rarely even watch them feed. I usually just drop something in there and then leave it, and then I'll check on it later on that evening or the next morning to see if they took it. Generally they do. That's very rare that you see these guys, you know, leave food. They just kind of like to eat in private, you know, with their covers on. Their enclosures, and especially, you know, in the summertime when it's warmer and I have my ceiling fan on, that creates that down pressure of air, which really moves their webbing around, and you will not get them to come out at all during that period. That's how I started this video. I did a first couple of them and the fan was on and their webbing was moving all over the place, and I realized that just wasn't going to work out for this type of video. But as you can see, not one of the three. This one was out actually when I grabbed the enclosure. The was that the Kigoma one? Yeah, the Kigoma one. And then this Tete. I believe I only have 2 Tete, this one and the female. And you'll be surprised when you see that large female's enclosure. It's kind of interesting. So as you can see, again, the difference between 3 different types and how they have their home set up. Let's bring you back over here. Keep that worm in the middle there. You can see the prominent hole there for the Kigoma underneath the leaf. I believe there's a little piece of wood in there also, which probably I made a... Usually if I put a piece of wood in there, I'll put a depression in there for a type of self-made burrow or starter burrow. That was actually sitting out when I grabbed the enclosure, but now that I've moved the enclosures, they're very reluctant to come back out again. Very, very minimal webbing here in the Tete. One of the least webbing ones out of all of them. That particular locale, all the Tete that I have or have had seem to be very, very low in the webbing. And then of course the UMB, I think this one just molted. I can't remember if it was this one that just molted or not, but one of them did. So that's those 3. Let's get the next size smaller. Okay, so these 3 here, the 2 on the left, or the left in the middle, are just regular Tterinochilus murinus, the orange ones, the regular OBTs that everybody loves so much, and the one on the right is one of my Mozambiques. So I do have 3 of the regulars, only 1 of the UMB. That's where my again, I have so many of these I can't remember how many of what I have and what I have anymore. I think I only have the 2 Mozambiques now, and then the 2 Tete, and then at least 1 UMB, and then the rest of them I have at least 3 of. But again, you could see here, Mozambique, there's just absolutely hardly any webbing whatsoever in this one. And this spider's been in there for probably 6 months, 5 months or so. You could see where it's got the burrow there, right by the sticker. Underneath that piece of wood is where it lives. And these 2, I very rarely even see. I mean, they are so deep inside in the middle, underneath their leaf and their wood, that they just don't become visible. You just don't see them. So, you know, I know when they molt because they throw it out, and I know when they eat because it's not there anymore. And you can see, I think this one's, see some little toes poking out there. I don't believe these are orange yet. You can see his legs are still dark, so the abdomen's probably orange, or has that orangish tint to it. These guys here are probably a little over 1.25 inches. They'll be able to take these worms down without any problem. These worms, actually, I raised and bred these worms. I was pretty excited that they're, you know, getting bigger. Yeah, see, absolutely nothing, no movement, not enclosure at all. And I'll come back later on and these worms will all be gone. All right, I think we're going to move on to the big girls now. Oh, yeah, you see, we had the jack in the box pop up, pop back down again. But at least we know they're moving. Don't let it go. If I was more patient and we had tons more time, I would just let it go, let it film, and let you guys see them. But we still have about 5 or 6 more to get through. Okay, everyone, this is one of my P. murinus, just a regular OBT, the orange color form, or Usambara, if you will. That would be the locale that you would use, not the mountain variant, but just a regular Usambara. This is a female, and I don't name many of my tarantulas, but I did name this one Molly, and I can't even tell you why. It was just one day, I had woke up in the middle of the night, and you know, the roaches were making noise in the enclosure, and I turned on the flashlight, because usually when I do that, they'll scatter and hide. And I looked over, and she was just like standing on the edge of her enclosure, like right about that area, and she was looking straight at me. And for some odd reason, the name Molly came into my head. I have no idea why, but she has an intricate area here. She lives down here. She lives under there. It's wherever she feels like going. And she will be out until I grab the enclosure. Then she'll kind of scatter to try and find her home. She's usually a pretty good eater. She's about 2 3/4 inches long, maybe 3 inches at best, if she'll come out. I usually take pictures of her when she is out. When she does feed, she'll stay outside and do it. Very rarely does she actually grab the prey and bring it down inside her burrow. I like to feed these guys worms, specifically just because I can see them eat. Because they'll come out and get them, and they'll get tangled up in the webs a lot more than like a cricket will or a roach will. They seem to be able to move across the webbing a lot better than these worms do. So the worm kind of gets tangled up, and it gives me the opportunity to see them if they decide to come out. And Molly doesn't seem like she wants to come out. But again, as you can see, there's a piece of wood there, piece of wood there, a lot of this little plant here that I put in there, and there's a piece of wood right there, and she just kind of webbed around everything and just kind of lives under it. Again, you know, the misconception is that these spiders dig deep holes. They may utilize deep holes in the wild, but I don't believe that they really dig deep holes, and I don't see very many of them actually burrowing down deep in enclosures. They seem to utilize more of a decor and web around the decor. If they have it, they'll do it. People will set them up in like a larger, taller enclosure with like a, you know, maybe cork bark or whatever, and they'll utilize that. They can climb very well. I would consider them more of what you would call a semi-arboreal tarantula. Because of the way they are found in nature. They are found in some low-lying trees and some, you know, broken stumps and stuff like that. They will live up a little bit higher, unlike GBBs that people constantly say are semi-arboreal, and in wild they have absolutely zero tendencies of doing that. They don't climb, they don't live in trees, they just live underneath roots and branches and stuff in the soil. Again, they utilize areas of depression and make their webbing all the way around it. So again, another one just doesn't want to come out, but you can see again the webbing that she's done. Not as full as some of the other Tterinochilus I have, but you know, she has done her fair share, and I'm sure as soon as I put the lid on and move her to the other side here, she'll probably come up and grab that worm. Okay, this is my female Tterinochilus Palala enclosure. You can see she's done zero webbing. She just lives underneath that. I'm glad that you guys got to at least see a little bit of her. It's absolutely stunning spider. I had a small little sling that didn't make it, but this is the next baboon species that I'll probably try and get a few of. The problem is they're pretty pricey. I think for about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch sling, they're about $1.50. So they have a pretty high price tag on them, but they are absolutely wonderful. A friend sent me this one. Terrence, one of my good buddies, sent this spider to me. I was pretty grateful, and then she's been doing wonderful. I had her in an Exoterra, and I just didn't like her in there, so I moved her to, these are the mini football helmet display cases that you get at Hobby Lobby. We'll kind of turn this just a little bit, and you could just see that all she does is live under that cork bark. She lined her inside with webbing, but that's it. There's nothing else exterior. So I would imagine this would be similar to what you would find them in nature. So the Palala, you can see her. She's kind of got like a somewhat still light colored abdomen. But she molted just before I put her in here, so she's molted probably 2 months ago. It's not a spider that you see sitting out, though. You know, most of these Tterinochilus species, these are species you really got to be dedicated to love them and enjoy keeping them, because you don't really see them that often. All right, now we got the big girls coming up. Okay, so this is the enclosure of my female Mikumi. As you could see, she was paired on the 22nd of June. Everything was going great. The pairings went great. There was about 3 inserts And they kind of backed down into where her back abdomen, part of her abdomen, was in this area here. And I had a stick, you know, I was pretty prepared because it was a lone male. I didn't want to lose the male. And they were beginning to move away from each other. And as he just kind of moved just a little bit away and let her drop a little bit. And I was putting, you know, I put the stick there to separate them because I didn't want her to eat them. And what ended up happening is she kind of like moved around my stick and just nailed him right in the carapace and just drug him right inside there. I mean, it was just, you know, it's so fast. It's hard to tell. You know, most of the time this species will let the males go, and this one didn't. So I'm going to put a superworm here. I don't think she'll eat because, like I said, she had a pretty decent sized meal, but hopefully she's gravid, so she'll be wanting food more often. This will be the first time I tried to feed her, and I'll let that worm go down inside there. She's lined her burrow pretty good. And again, we slowly turn her. You'll kind of be able to see what she's done. You know, it's almost like a depression. Underneath this big piece of wood that I have here, she's going to be back in there. That goes down a little bit deeper. That's where she hides, and I don't see much movement, so that worm may not be enticing to her right now. But again, she is gravid, or hopefully gravid, and I just took her off the shelf. And these spiders, they're just so sensitive to movement. So you can see the worm moving back in the side there, and I don't see any movement from her. She's probably still full from eating that male. So we'll wait another week, and then I'll spray the enclosure down really good. And then we'll probably put her off to the side. And then again in a week, we'll try feeding her again and see what happens. I'm hoping, you know, within 30, 45 days or so that she makes a nice egg sac inside there. Okay, so as far as trust goes, this is the one I trust the least. This is the female Kigoma. You can see her right there. We're going to put this superworm right up top there. Hopefully she just comes up and gets that. She molted about a week and a half or so ago and has already fed once. I didn't realize she molted because she never looked large, and I fed her, and when she came out I noticed there was another whole spider inside of her burrow there. So she's already eaten once, so I'm not worried about her eating a second time. But this one I do trust the least, and I'm working kind of, probably shouldn't even say this, I'll jinx myself, but I'm holding the camera with a pistol grip hold, the phone holder, the lid's off, and if she decides to go, she's going to go. I do believe that a lot of times these spiders feel the vibration of our voices, so when we're talking, they just don't want to come out. Yeah, see, she's agitated. She doesn't want to have anything to do with the worm, and I don't want her to come out back there, so we're just going to kind of let her be. I'm going to get that worm out of there, cover her up at least, and then we'll move on to the next female. Okay, this is my Mozambique Tterinochilus murinus. She lives underneath there. She very rarely comes out. If she's hungry, you'll see that worm just get yanked in, and that's about it. You won't see much of anything with her. She comes out every now and then and she moves some dirt. You can see there's a pile of it there. I think she's actually dug some of it out of underneath there, which is a cork bark that she lives underneath of. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous locale. I love this locale. They have like a lighter tannish color with some, I don't even know, pinkish salmony. Yeah, samish. What the hell kind of word is that? Salmony colored setae. Very beautiful. I just wish she would be out more because she deserves to be taken tons of pictures of. It doesn't seem like she's even hungry because she's not grabbed that worm yet. So anyway, we put the skull in here. She has a water dish. So this one I actually do fill up because she doesn't fill it up with anything or web it over, and the only thing she's webbed up is the lining of her burrow inside, and just the very exterior. And she will line that entrance. She'll web it closed. She very rarely keeps it open. That worm just kind of busted itself in there. So this is the Mozambique. I think we have the Tete yet. The chordatus. I think you guys will actually see the chordatus. Okay, so here's the chordatus. She's definitely one of my favorites. Absolutely was thrilled when I got an opportunity to get her, give her a worm and see if she's going to be interested in eating. She usually doesn't say no. As you can see, she's not going to say no this time either. She's still what I would consider a large juvenile, or maybe a young, immature female. Sub-adult, I guess you could call her. Oh, apparently she's not wanting to eat it. It's been a while since she's molted, so she may be getting into a pre-molt situation. So let's get that bugger out of there. She's not taking it right away, and she's not going to eat it. But as you can see, she's decent size, a little over 4 inches, right around 4 inches. So I guess, yeah, that would be like a immature female, not really a juvenile. And she'll get darker. She's a little dull right now, actually. But her colors will pop a little bit more. That black will be more prominent. Those bandings on her legs will be, you know, really yellowish, creamish type color. They really pop. And then her abdomen, as you can see, it's got a really cool pattern. She's got the real big prominent starburst pattern on her carapace as well. I'm shaking here, trying to hold this camera. All right, couple more. Okay, well, I was wrong. Actually, this is the last one. This is my Tete female. As you can see, we got the creepy little doll in there, doll head in there. The greenery on this side, the water bowl over here, some pebbles there, and then these 2 pieces of wood, and that's where she lives. As you can see, she's done some webbing on the stones, a little bit, not much, and some webbing right there, but not much either. So she is under there, deep. You can see her foot right there. So we're going to try and give her a worm. I'm sure she will take it. Oh yeah, very quickly take it. She's a very good eater. But as you can see, very minimal webbing. You wouldn't even know if this is a P. murinus at all. Even one of the locales, if you didn't know, you know, if you weren't told. But that's her. That's the end of the video for my P. murinus. We have some Harpactira, mostly pulchripes, a couple Bobianas, a chrysogaster, and a Namaquiensis. We'll do a video on those in the near future. So I hope you guys liked the video, and we'll see you guys all soon.